In today's episode, we are sharing all the details of our recent weekend getaway to Albuquerque, New Mexico, including our stay at the Hyatt Regency Tamaya and our very first ever visit to the Albuquerque Balloon Festival. So if that's been on your list, listen in. Hi, I'm Raya.
And I'm Duane.
And we are your hosts of the Travel Party of Five podcast, where we share how we travel as a family of five around the world.
We will also share how we use points and miles to travel as affordably as possible and sometimes even completely free.
So if you're wanting to travel more with your family, but you're not sure how, we'd love for you to listen in.
So welcome to our podcast, where we hope you learn a thing or two to get you closer to your next trip.
Hey guys, welcome back to Travel Party of Five podcast. Hope you're having a great Monday or whatever day you're listening.
A great week.
A great week, yes. So before we jump into our main topic, which is our weekend getaway that we took a couple weeks ago to Albuquerque, I thought we could just for a second talk a little bit about life, because I don't know what is happening out there in the universe, but life for us has been pretty hard the last few weeks.
Yes, we've had some issues, if you will.
Since we got back from Hawaii, the kids and I have all been sick with some weird random virus that has affected us all differently. But one kid ended up getting pneumonia, and so that was stressful. And then on top of that, we had
a slab leak in our house, which...
Yep.
We had to cut open walls, find the leak, reroute pipes, and yeah.
Yeah, it was not a cheap problem to fix, but fortunately, as of now, we haven't found any actual water damage that we can see. So we did a reroute for the leak, and that has been fixed. I guess it did help us meet a minimum spend on a credit card. Actually, you know what? That's not even true. It didn't.
Yeah, because we didn't get the credit card.
It didn't because I didn't have the card in the mail yet. And it didn't come for like 2 days after we paid it. I did consider calling them and asking if they would refund the card I used and then recharge the new card, but I decided against it.
So yes, that is why we had to do a little replay last week, because we were unable to record a podcast.
Yeah,
so
it was just
apologies
insane.
for that.
But if you are looking to get the Southwest Companion Pass, the reason we did that replay, my intention was to record a fully new episode with not only how you can earn 1 or 2 companion passes, but also the places that we have taken, or I'm sorry, the places that we have used our companion pass to visit. That was my intention, but everyone was sick and had fevers and coughing, and it was just not. It wasn't going to work. So appreciate your patience on that. And we're back this week with a fresh new episode, and everyone is feeling better. So if you are struggling too, hopefully it gets better for you soon.
Yeah. Keep your head up.
So, okay. We went to New Mexico.
Albuquerque.
And the entire premise for this trip was on our path to reaching Hyatt Globalist status, which, as a side note, let me just really quickly tell you, we're very close. We are at, drum roll, we're at 53 nights. And I have 2 more coming up actually starting tomorrow for a work trip. And we have 5 qualifying nights coming from our Hyatt business credit card. So I think within a month, we should have officially hit globalist status, which is exciting.
Yes, very exciting.
And so on the path to getting globalist status, we earned a free night certificate that can be used at any category 1 through 4 Hyatt. What I didn't know is that certificate has a 6-month expiration date. So
you had to quickly find somewhere to use it.
Yeah, because it was going to expire in February, and we didn't have any trips booked where we could use it between now and then, really. So I did a Google search of the best category 1 through 4 Hyatts, right? Really, you want a category 4 because you want to maximize your value that you're getting. And on the list was the Hyatt Regency Tamaya, which is in Albuquerque. And the Albuquerque Balloon Festival, or Fiesta, I think it's interchangeable, has been on my list for a couple of years. I've been wanting to go. And so I looked up when the festival was, and it's in October, and they had availability on the Saturday night, which was the last night before the end of the festival. So I think it goes for 9 days or 10 days every year.
I think it's 9.
It covers 2 weekends. And so they had a free night availability on the last night of the festival. So that would have cost us 18,000 points to book. And instead it was free. And so I booked it. And then I figured I planned a trip around that one night.
Yeah, we love free, so we jumped on it.
Yeah. And so we used our companion pass. We flew on Southwest, obviously. And I used points for one way, and I used cash for the return because we didn't have enough Southwest points to do both. And I didn't want to transfer any Chase points, so it still was only ended up being maybe $100, I think, out of pocket. It wasn't, maybe it was $150. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, not too bad.
And we flew over early Saturday morning and flew back Sunday night. So we had, I don't know, would you say 36 hours maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
What did we think of? Let's go in this order. Let's do Albuquerque itself and the stuff we did.
Albuquerque.
Then the hotel, and then the balloon festival. Let's do that. Mm-hmm. So what did you think of Albuquerque?
Well, upon landing in Albuquerque,
Why are you saying it like that?
The airport is what I imagine it would be.
Yes.
Tile floor, like Spanish style tile floors.
Yeah.
What are the colors like?
It's like greens and
browns
reds
and reds. I know, but is there a word for that?
I don't know.
Definitely Southwest feel, Albuquerque feel for sure. And I mean this in the nicest way, but the people there were a little odd, friendly but odd. Would you say?
Yeah, not odd. They're not odd. Duane thinks it's odd because he's not like that. But I felt like, oh, all these people here are like me.
So yes, odd.
They talk to strangers and, just about random things, which I do pretty often. And Duane is always like, they do not care about your story. And I'm like, I don't care if they care. I'm just being a human and talking to other humans.
I mean, I'll talk to other humans and strangers, but
no, you really don't. More than not, you're like, oh, I should have told this person this, but you never do.
Somewhat true.
Yeah. So yes, it was like people were just like, oh, like we had a camera. We were getting on the bus to go to the balloon festival, and the guy was like, oh, look, that's so cute with your little home camera and blah, blah, blah. And I was just laughing. Like, I don't know. People were just talking to us about the most random things, and I really enjoyed that.
It started at the rental car place. When we landed, we had to go pick up a rental car. And when we got to the rental car place, the guy helping us was like telling us how he was going to start a business by selling these little paper hot air balloons from his house, and it was going to be a side hustle. And
that's right. And I was all about it. I was like, you should make a QR code. You should tell people if they're interested, they can scan it and go to your website. And
then he said something about a spider, which none of us got. But anyway,
I don't know. We're off track here. But on the note, though, we did have to rent a rental car, which originally I hadn't planned on doing. I was just going to take an Uber to the hotel and back to the airport. But then when I started researching into the balloon festival and kind of how it works, And I realized the hotel is about 45 minutes from the airport. This particular hotel, I was like, oh, that's going to be a very expensive Uber. So between what the Ubers would have cost to and from the airport, plus we had to get to the balloon festival and back, it would have been more expensive to Uber. So we rented a car.
We definitely saved money.
And I think we paid $170 maybe, which isn't super cheap, but it was still cheaper than what it would have been had we used Uber or Lyft.
Yeah.
So we did rent a car. We used Enterprise, I think, and it was easy.
They didn't have the Camry they
yeah.
said they were going to give us, so they upgraded us a free upgrade to an SUV.
Yeah, and it was a Volkswagen. Yeah. It was a nice little car.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's do Albuquerque. So we land in the morning. We go to downtown. I'm sorry, no. We go to look at the petroglyphs first.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit of a national monument. I think it's called Petroglyph National Monument.
Yeah.
And there are a few different areas within this park that you can see petroglyphs, but a lot of them require hiking, and we did not want to do that.
Yeah, we weren't prepared to hike.
Because some of the hikes are like a few miles, and they're like, make sure you bring a lot of water, and we didn't have any of that.
Yeah. And we just got off the plane, and
we had all our luggage.
And it was hot.
It was hot, and we didn't have a lot of time. So we just did the short little 5-minute, 10-minute hikes, and we saw some petroglyphs, and we felt satisfied with what we saw. I think if you're a hiker, it would be cool to, do a little hike and maybe prepare a little bit more than we did. And then we went to Old Town Albuquerque, which was incredibly busy.
Yes, super busy.
But just think, it's the last Saturday of the Balloon Festival. And we'll talk more about this when we get to the Balloon Festival portion. But the festival is open in the morning and at night, and it closes down in the middle of the day. So everyone, once they go to the balloon launch in the morning, is then, probably out and about in Albuquerque. And they had bands set up playing like what I think was traditional.
They were, Hispanic. They were mariachi bands.
Yeah.
Yes, it was bustling with people. And
a lot of people. Took us a bit to find parking. We wandered around for a bit. We put our name down for lunch at the Church Street Cafe, which if you want like authentic New Mexican food in an authentic environment, I would recommend it. It was very Albuquerque when you walked in.
Yes. We
did wait about an hour, but we just kind of wandered around and did some shopping, got some souvenirs. I got a Christmas ornament and a magnet. And
yeah, it's not very big, so you can walk around and visit everywhere.
And it's a cute little old town area. And so we had lunch. Lunch was good. My tip there would be to get the sopapillas at the end. They were my favorite part, probably.
They're super yummy.
Yeah. And if you don't know, sopapillas are kind of like a puffed fried dough, and then they served it with honey. Yes. And it was yummy.
Yep.
And what else did we do? Then we just went to the hotel. Oh, we had to go find swim trunks, which we never ended up using.
Yeah.
I just realized. Duane didn't bring swim trunks, so we went to a Target and a Walmart trying to find swim trunks for him, because our plan was to go back to the hotel and go to the pool and kind of relax before dinner. We got to the hotel, we checked in, but by the time we got out to the pool
bar was closed.
The bar was closed, and it was like 5 p.m. at this point, I think.
Yeah.
And the bar was closed. So
then we just proceeded to the main bar, where we
had a couple drinks and appetizers.
We were there for a good couple hours.
Has a beautiful view of the mountains when you sit on the patio, and so it was very nice and relaxing. And they had a very good lavender honey margarita.
Yes, and their menu was pretty cheap for being a hotel. Yeah.
So we'll talk about the hotel in a minute. So Sunday, let's talk about the other activities we did Sunday in Albuquerque besides the Balloon Festival. We did the tram.
Yeah, what mountain was that?
Other must-do thing in Albuquerque that I could find was taking the Sandia Peak tram up to the top of Sandia Peak. I believe you can also drive up there, but I think that probably takes some time. We waited for the tram.
You can also hike up there.
Oh,
which
yeah.
We met a couple that did that. It took them 4 hours.
Yeah. You can hike up and take the tram down, which is what they were doing. That would be a no for me.
Yeah. No, thank you.
But the tram is pretty cool. And it's built by the same people who have built the trams in Switzerland. And it goes a lot farther than you think it goes from when you're at the bottom. Like, we thought it just went up to this one peak, but that was just like
halfway point.
Maybe even the third waypoint.
Yeah.
Because then it goes again. And so anyways, the views from the top were beautiful. Would definitely recommend doing that. It was really busy when we went, but again, I think that's because of the balloon festival. I would bet it's not that busy regularly most times. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like the longest tram in North America, or second?
I think so, yeah.
It was like over a mile long. And it took like 15 minutes to get from the bottom to the top. And I mean, you said we were like 10,000 feet in there or something? By the time you got to the top, actually. I think you start off and you're at like 3,000 feet above sea level. And then by the time you get to the top, it's like a little over 10.
Yeah, it was really high up there.
Yeah. So you get to the top. It's actually a ski resort in the winter. There's a restaurant up top, which we didn't go to. Apparently, you said it was fine dining, right?
It's like a fine dining restaurant that requires reservations. I do think they also have a bar that you can go to without a reservation. We didn't do any of that. But yes, you can make a reservation at this like fine dining restaurant, and you need to take the tram to get there. The only other thing we did in Albuquerque on Sunday is we ate at Bob's Burgers, which we heard was a New Mexico staple. And so they have a taco burger, which is like a crispy taco shell, a burger patty, American cheese, and then their chili sauce. And it was so good that I ordered 2 and ate them and then ordered a third one. It was delicious. And Duane had a green chili burger. But like, this is fast food. Like, did they have a drive-through?
I don't think this location did. It almost had like a small diner type feel to it.
Yeah, but it was like fast food for sure.
Yeah.
But I would recommend the taco burger. It was delicious. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, my burger was pretty good. It was a little greasy, but
yeah. Yeah, the tacos were greasy too. And so as far as Albuquerque itself, we did the petroglyphs, the tram, Old Town, and ate at Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I felt like that was enough of Albuquerque for me. Like, I felt like I got a feel for it.
Yes. And if you haven't been to Albuquerque, it's like really vast. You can see one end of the city to the other.
Yes. Yes, you can see so far, which was really crazy to me. Okay, let's talk about the hotel. So the Hyatt Regency Tamaya is a Category 4 Hyatt. So you can book, that means anywhere from 12 to 18,000 points a night, whether it's on peak, off peak, or regular. Tell me if you agree. We kind of already talked about this when we were there, but I would not describe this as a luxury hotel by any means, but it was very family friendly and it was very nice.
Yes, I would agree.
And the inside is like very New Mexico.
Yes.
They have a lot of artifacts.
Native artifacts.
Mm-hmm. Yep. History around the whole resort. There's like plaques and you can read about all sorts of things. They have cozy fireplaces in the lobby area.
Fire pits on the property.
Yep. You can do, I think they have free s'mores, which we didn't do because Duane hates s'mores. But we would have done if we were there with our kids.
Yeah.
That would have been a fun thing.
I hate them because they're messy.
Yeah. Duane is a very clean person. So
they have 2 pools Well, 3 actually. They have an adult pool, main pool, kiddie pool.
But the pools are pretty basic.
Yeah.
Like it was giving me like a city pool vibe. Like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like, you know, in the movie Sandlot, where they go to the pool. Is it Sandlot, where they go to the pool and the kid fakes the drowning for the lifeguard? Is that Sandlot?
I believe so.
It was giving me that kind of pool vibes.
I mean, I didn't get those vibes, but
Okay.
I mean, it was basic. I mean, the adult pool was pretty blah. I mean, it was just a circle with some chairs.
Yeah.
Nothing too fancy, but I mean, kids would
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was a water slide.
There was a water slide. Yep.
Yeah.
So again, family friendly. They also have a horseback riding, a stable and like a horseback riding experience that you can book, and they're rescued horses. So we didn't make it down to the stable. We didn't have time. We were actually not at the hotel for very long.
No.
But that would 100% be something that I would do if we go back. And we've discussed going back and taking our kids for a few nights. I don't know if our kids would be able to handle the balloon festival, but I do think that they would enjoy this property. There are also, because the hotel is kind of far outside the city, there are stunning mountain views everywhere you look.
Yeah.
We brought our drone and flew it up for a little bit, and it was really beautiful.
Yeah, the property also has these trails you can ride bikes on, walk if you'd like. While we were there was a wedding. Apparently there's a wedding venue on the property, but you have to take a bus there. Like a shuttle.
We were watching people get shuttled to this wedding for a while we were having our drinks and appetizers for dinner.
Yes.
We also thought that the food was really good and pretty cheap for like a hotel menu.
We didn't eat a lot of food, but the food that we did get was pretty good. Yeah.
There's also a fine dining restaurant at the hotel that is called Corn Maiden. We did not eat there, but we saw a lot of people eating there.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that it's something where locals come and eat too. I don't know. Maybe we would try it if we went back, but probably not with kids, if I had to guess.
Probably not.
Yeah. Our room was fine. We had a room with a king bed, and when we checked in, they said they upgraded us, but I'm not sure. Oh, I'm sorry. They said they upgraded us to a room with a balcony, and our balcony looked over like this little exterior courtyard type thing.
Yeah.
And we could see
the adult pool.
Yeah, we could see the pools too.
Yeah.
What else about the hotel?
Again, we weren't there very long because, I mean, we got there at late in the afternoon.
Yeah, we checked in around
Saturday. 4-ish. We had to get up early on Sunday morning.
Yeah, we really didn't spend a ton of time there, but we're considering taking our kids back. So obviously we liked it enough to potentially return. For us, we flew this time, but we could drive, and it's not that far. It's the same distance as it is to California. So just in the other direction. Okay, let's talk about the balloon festival. So I did zero research on this until about a week prior when a friend of mine, I saw on her Instagram that she was at the balloon festival. And I was so excited because I said, oh my gosh, like we're doing this next weekend. Like I'm so excited. And then I noticed that she had put that she had woken up at 2:30 in the morning. And I went, wait, what? You have to do what? And so she gave me the website and I started looking into it. And here, let me just break this down for you if you want to attend the Balloon Festival in 2025. There are 2 sessions, a morning session and a night session. The morning session goes from about 4:30 in the morning until maybe 9, maybe 10 a.m. at the latest. And then they close down. And then the night session is, I think, 5-ish or 4-ish until, I don't know, 7 or 8. We didn't do a night session. We only did the one morning. And you have a few options. You can either drive yourself there and park, or you can do a park and ride, which is what we did, because everything that I read said that the park, if you do self-parking, it can be really stressful. And if you're not there, like by a certain time, you won't get in the gates in time to watch all the festivities. So,
And traffic. I mean, if you self-park, you're going to be stuck in traffic for a while.
yes, the buses, which is what we took, have their own designated bus lanes, so they don't have to wait in the traffic.
Yeah.
So we got up at 2:30 in the morning, which was, yes, very early. We left the hotel by 3:15, and we were parking our car at about 3:40. There's a bunch of different park and ride parking lots. We parked in the Intel lot. I'm sure that maybe they change every year, but that's where we parked. And we got in line to wait for the bus. The other thing my friend told me is that it was going to be cold. And so I was wearing a bunch of layers, and I wasn't too cold. I was okay. We thought it was fine waiting for the bus. We waited about 10-15 minutes outside to get on the bus. And when we got on the bus, it's maybe a, 20-minute drive, you think?
Yeah.
To the park. So the bus drives us there, we get off, and then we go wait in line to get in. And that's where you have to show your tickets. And when we get off the bus, it is much colder. So I don't know. I mean, I guess must have been at a different elevation or something. It was much colder and windier, right?
It was just an open field. That's why the breeze is what made it colder, I think. And being that it was so open, you felt the breeze,
Well, I was like, uh-oh. Like, I had been totally fine. I was like, oh, yeah, this is manageable. And then I was like, I am freezing. So we go, we get through. There's a ton of people waiting to get in. And we later learned that it was actually not that busy the day we were there, because we were there the very last day of the festival. So they were, I think, only doing a morning session, and there was no night session that day. And I think by then most people had left because our bus driver told us that it was pretty slow.
Yeah.
So we get finally into the area, and everything is open. So they have tons of places serving coffee and breakfast burritos and donuts. And so we got coffee.
Yeah, it was almost as if it was like a fair.
Yes. Right? It looked very much like a fair, except it's completely pitch dark and like you can't see except for where there's lights. So we got some coffee and donuts, and then I bought a blanket to wrap around myself because I was shivering. And it was the best $25 I've ever spent. I would have spent more, quite frankly. And then we just walked around. And so you can walk around all of the balloons. In fact, we almost stepped on a balloon because we thought it was dirt or sand, and that's how dark it was.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize that you can just roam freely throughout the field. Like, I thought there were going to be, sectioned off where the balloons would go. But, I mean, you can walk right up to a balloon. No one says anything to you. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was really, really interesting. And, they have the fire things where they test them and they light them up. And then you can stand right next to them while they're doing that. And no one cares. And so we watched a bunch of balloons get blown up. And so the way it works is at 5:45 a.m., they have a drone show. The drone show was very cool. And it started right on time. And I mean, the stuff that they were doing with these drones, I was like, wow.
It's crazy what they can do with drones nowadays. Crazy.
And then at 6:15 or 6:30 maybe, they do the dawn patrol, which is where there's like maybe 4 or 5 balloons that take off. And so those were the first balloons, and the sun is just starting to come up, and so the sky is still pretty dark, and that was exciting to see the first few balloons take off. It is entirely weather permitting whether the balloons fly or not. And so in the mornings, right up until it's time to go, they will basically give you either a green flag, which means yes, or a red flag, which means it's not safe for the balloons to fly. Fortunately, we had a green flag the day that we were there. I would have been really sad if we had gotten up that early and then not been able to see it,
Yeah, so, my friends and coworkers found out we were going to this balloon festival, and, most of them asked if we were going to get in one. And my answer was, of course not. Yeah, because you get in a hot air balloon, you're at the whim of the wind,
The whim of the wind. Yes, you're the whim of my wind. Yeah, so once you get in, you're going where the wind takes you, and
that's not for me.
So, anyways, we did not fly in a hot air balloon. Just seems a little irresponsible considering we have 3 little kids, to care for.
Yeah.
But we really enjoyed watching them. And Duane was pretty unhappy about waking up at 2:30 in the morning. But was it worth it to go there?
It was worth it. Would I do it again? Probably not. I mean, unless the kids went. But I don't see the kids getting up at 2:30 and heading out that early. But it was cool for me and you to be there. And not have to worry about dragging 3 kids around.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool. When she told me that there was going to be 500 balloons, I thought, that's a lot of balloons. But, I think there was more the bus driver told us it was 300 or something. But, after the dawn patrol, like she said, that was at 6:15. Then at 7:30. 7 is when all the balloons go up.
They call it the mass ascension.
Mass ascension. So, there were, at one point, balloons just hitting other balloons because they were all filling up their balloons with air to take off. And, it was pretty crazy to see. At one point, there was probably 50 balloons going up at once. And then 2 minutes later, 50 more. It was pretty crazy to see.
It was crazy to look around and just see so many balloons in the air. And we saw some balloons get blown up that they ended up bringing down, and they didn't fly them.
Yeah, that was.
And so we asked our bus driver on the way back,
who was very knowledgeable,
very informative. We said, why do some of them blow up and then not take off? And he said it's completely up to the driver of are they pilots? I don't know.
Yes.
It's completely up to the pilot of the hot air balloon. So they could get it blown up and then just not be feeling it, not feeling the vibes, and so then they can just take it back down.
Yeah.
And we saw several balloons do that.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty windy while they were doing it, and I thought for sure that's why they were taking it down, but
Yeah, so to learn that it was completely at the pilot's discretion was interesting because excuse me, it kind of seems like there should be someone going around saying yes, you're good to go, kind of like air traffic control, but there's not. There's none of that. It's either you have the green flag, everyone has a green flag to go, and then from there it's up to you. That just feels like the wild, wild west to me.
Yeah. So these balloons take off, and again, they're just floating in the wind, and they have to find a place to land.
Yeah. So when we were there till maybe, 8 something.
Yeah.
And then we left. We walked back to the bus, and then the bus drove us back to our car. And while we were driving from our car, once we got in our car and we were driving back to the hotel, which again is about a 20-30 minute drive, we were seeing these balloons land in some really random places. One landed in a residential neighborhood.
Yeah, just someone's neighborhood, someone's front driveway. There was a couple fields we saw some land in.
Yeah.
A couple businesses that they landed in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the bus driver was also telling us that, they just look for a place that they feel is safe enough to land, and they try and shoot for that landing.
Yeah. Yeah. So crazy, pretty crazy. But all in all, a super cool experience. We may take our kids back. I don't know if they need to be a little older because it was very cold, and I just think they would have been pretty miserable. But I do think that at some point we will likely take them to see it, maybe just not right away.
Yeah.
But I think if the balloon festival is on your list, the other tip we learned from our bus driver is definitely go to at least one morning session and one night session. And there is a night session if you have kids where they call it odd shapes or something like that. And it's when all the kids' balloons are there. And so obviously during the night session, they don't take off, but they do blow them up. And you can see all the fun kids' shapes and kids like balloons. So I do think that would be fun if you have kids.
Yeah. I think he said it was Thursdays and Friday nights that they do that, but I mean, there's only one Thursday and Friday night, I think.
Yeah. So check the schedule if you're planning, but the schedule's already out for 2025. Hotels are already bookable. So,
I mean, yeah, didn't they already have like merchandise out for the 2025? Or they changed the website,
the Facebook group. Yeah. So I joined the Facebook group for it just to kind of get a feel, because that's generally where I find the best information these days, is crowdsourcing through Facebook groups. And I mean, while we were still there at the festival, the Facebook group name changed from whatever the 2024 festival name was to whatever the 2025 name will be. So they are on top of it, and it is serious business. Like it's a huge festival, and Albuquerque is not a huge town. So if you do go, just pack your patience, because I mean, we flew out Sunday night, and fortunately Southwest is so amazing. We had booked a later flight, like a 9 p.m. flight, but one of our kids got sick while we were there, so we were trying to get an earlier flight home, and we were on the standby list, and we made it, but like barely.
With the help of a Southwest agent who
Yeah.
helped us out tremendously, actually.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
Because it was challenging when you have a companion ticket and you're trying to get on a standby list. It was just a pain. And yes, so he was fantastic.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure I was like the second to the last person to get on the plane.
Yeah. Yeah. And our server at the airport too, because we had a couple hours to kill at the airport. And she like thanked us for not yelling at her.
Yeah,
which is wild to me.
Was pretty stressed out. You could tell. But yeah, she thanked us for being cool and not yelling, and
Yeah, and we were just happy to
at one point
have our drinks. And
she
watch
was
the
making
game.
drinks for someone else, and I walked up to her and I said, "Hey, excuse me, ma'am. Whenever you get a chance, I just need a beer." And she was like, "Here, you want this one?" And just gave me that one. I was like, "Sure," and went back and got another one for the person she was making it for. It was pretty funny.
So yeah, pack your patience, but I definitely think it was worth it. And like, yes, 100% would do. I would do it again.
Yeah.
I would wake up that early. Doesn't bother me.
Definitely wear warm clothes, because I'm usually typically pretty hot always. And I even asked her, like, do you think I could get away wearing shorts and like a sweater?
And I said no.
So I didn't. So I wore sweatpants and a jacket. And I was still pretty cold, so...
Glad you didn't wear shorts?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely glad I didn't wear shorts, because we would have bought like 3 blankets.
That's why you should always listen to your wife. Yep. Anyways, hope this episode was helpful if you've got the Balloon Festival on your radar for 2025. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it so much. We would love if you would subscribe or follow or leave us a review if you are so inclined. And we will catch you on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.
Bye.